Oh, we just recorded that not in the Star Wars Every Week Forever offices. We've committed a podcast sin.
Wait, what did
What?
There we go.
I swear,
There we
I don't
are.
know if I want to use these anymore because I think it's part of the internet lag that I have when we record now.
We can't do the show not in our offices. What are you talking about?
I'm not even.
the group.
I seem to have good internet today, and I'm not like I wore no
It's great
makeup.
today.
I wore no makeup. My hair isn't even down. I'm in a
Oh,
cut-off
yeah.
sleeveless shirt. This sucks. This
Yeah,
sucks.
you look great.
Damn, this just in. Jay's internet is transphobic as
Hello and welcome to Star Wars Every Week Forever, the podcast in which we watch one Star Wars movie every week forever. This week, I got a new hope. I don't know why I did I got a new drug opening with that. I don't know why I'm mapping right now. Ben, how was your watch?
It was all right. That's about all I have to say. It was all right.
Chris, how was your watch?
Oh, it was fine. It's fine. I don't know what you want me. It's a New Hope. I don't know what you want me to say about a New Hope anymore. I got nothing.
It is the standard Star Wars, the white bread Star War.
The white bread Star Wars, very good.
Yeah. This movie really is just like the Wonder Bread of Star Wars movies at this point. Like it's fine.
It's the
It's
Star
maybe overhyped
Wars. I mean,
little. I'm never disappointed when I see it, but also it's like
yeah, that's what I expected.
It was a Star War before we knew what a Star War was.
How was your watch, Jay?
I don't know what it is about this movie. It's very short, and I'm very thankful for that. But this is the second time, and I'm pretty sure it's only this movie, where I got halfway through it, and I'm like, I'll finish it tomorrow.
Oh,
like I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Be my every week.
I don't know what it is about this movie specifically, but I'll get off of Tatooine, and I'm like, I'll finish it tomorrow. Like it's a short movie.
I'll get off of Tatooine. The way you worded that was very funny to me. I was like, I'm getting off Tatooine.
Everybody wants to get off Tatooine. Tatooine of Florida, Bama. I don't know. It was what it was. It was a New Hope. It's short. I took 2 days to watch it. Whatever. It's not bad. It's not good. It's not hopeful.
We've compared Tatooine to Florida Bama so much that I can't help but really desperately want some batshit crazy exec at Disney to just pitch a like Florida Bama Shore type show set on Tatooine. It's just a bunch of dumb kids on Tatooine like going to the cantinas and
Don't pitch this because I'll write it.
This is
I'll
a
write
Pandora's box. I don't know if you want to
like
open, Chris.
I'll write
a
this
Star Wars fake reality show. Do you think there's
Don't do
reality shows in the Star Wars universe?
Absolutely.
Yes. That?
I would very much like to see that.
What's that Doctor Who episode where they get teleported into a future where all media is like involuntary game show teleporting of random civilians? That's what Star Wars game show is. That's what a Star Wars game show is like.
That sounds like the most entertaining dystopia ever.
Is there a Star Wars equivalent of like the Mojoverse?
I was just thinking that too, because it is basically the Mojoverse.
How is this the second
this is
time
not the first
about
time
Mojo?
we brought up Mojo.
How is this the second time we've talked about Mojo on this podcast? We are, Jay, you and I are like...
And then Ben immediately being like, who's Mojo?
We can't get away from the comic book, like obscure comic book shit that nobody else gives a fuck.
Mojo isn't obscure, though.
I think nowadays Mojo is pretty fucking obscure. I know they did something with him fairly recently again, but I don't think the casual Marvel fan, whatever the hell that means these days, would know Mojo if you...
Every 3 years they bring back Mojo. Mojo's pretty common. Ben, do you remember
I remember.
Yeah. Do you remember the
Like
time when we talked?
interdimensional fucking game show dude?
Yeah.
I remember Mojo.
Yeah. I remember specifically because I had to see that for the Weird Wikipedia edit. It's not in the Weird Wikipedia edit, but I did have to skip past that. And you were horrified when you saw Mojo, which is the intended Mojo thing. But to prevent a 7-minute comic book top at the start of the hour, A New Hope, the movie we watched.
I have comments.
Wow. Okay, go.
Owen, I feel like, is, especially maybe with the Kenobi like background we have now, I totally get why he just like fucking absolutely can't stand the Jedi. Like, as an average citizen of the Empire who both hates the Empire and hates the Jedi, I 1000% get where Owen's coming from almost all the time when he's like, yeah, just don't talk to the old man, Luke. Just leave him alone.
Yep. That was kind of the only thing I was looking forward to this week, was watching this, having just watched the Obi-Wan series. I didn't get a ton of takeaways other than, I mean, I've been the resident Owen defender since this podcast started, I think, but that all, checks out at this point, I will say the Vader Obi-Wan meeting has been fixed a little bit for me by the show, but also I feel like Vader is not nearly angry enough during that encounter now, the way Obi-Wan left him in the show.
I don't know. You can only
I think it feels kind of right,
because
since then he's had time to like temper his.
Well, I just thought about this. If you look at it from like Vader's perspective, Vader always wanted to beat Obi-Wan on Obi-Wan's terms. Like Vader wanted to beat Obi-Wan on Vader's terms. Vader wanted to prove that he was better than Obi-Wan. And he never got to do that because the day that he kills Obi-Wan is the day that he fights him as an old man that went into the duel ready to die. Like, the outcome was predetermined, and I can see why he was like, oh, this fucking sucks. This isn't the way I wanted to kill you, but okay.
Yeah.
On the Owen comment, the original point clearly was that he wanted to protect Luke in the original film, from what George didn't know, but he wanted to protect him. But it does make Beru very strange in that scene. Because, like, Owen's clearly like, I don't know about that old man. It's very strange. No, you can't go to the Imperial Academy to be an Imperial starfighter pilot. And Beru's like, yeah, but let him. And it's like, Beru, keep him the fuck away from an Imperial anything. You know this.
Well, I mean, I think Beru was more saying, like, because she just kind of says, like, you can't keep him here forever. You know that, right?
She also says the equivalent of, and it means so much to him, which I think is like a tepid, like, let him go do what he wants, which would be good parenting if it wasn't for son of big bad Vader man.
I'm sure someone's done a what if timeline, but I wonder what would have happened if Luke actually did end up going to the Imperial Academy.
I'm fairly certain this has happened.
It actually has to have
in the old canon.
I do not know of it. I know that
I'm fairly certain there was some sort of a story. It was either a comic or one of the books or something where this was somewhat touched on.
You triggered my trap card!
I know in this fucking book,
you cannot.
They open.
It is the 12th rotation.
Did you just fucking Yu-Gi-Oh trap card my ass into a segue?
Yes, I did.
You did this in the 4th rotation, and it's the 12th rotation. It has been 8 rotations since you read the books. 8 rotations. I need that to sink in before you say whatever you're going to say about these fucking books.
In this fucking book, they do open with a whole alternate timeline. I remember talking about this.
Oh my
Luke
god, that's right.
And Cammy being married at the moisture farm. And it's
In
still
the Last
melts my
Jedi
brain.
book.
Yeah, it's still
Yeah, it
melts
wasn't even
my
this
brain.
book. It was the book for The Last Jedi, which
Yeah.
is even more confusing.
Even more
Not in this
confusing.
fucking book. In that fucking
In
book.
that fucking book.
In that fucking book that Ben read 8 rotations ago.
8 rotations. I remember it very specifically because it was the winter of the beginning of 2021.
Fest is my. I don't know how I remember certain things because my memory is all jacked up from like trauma. In case anyone was curious, so I don't know how I remember things, but like my brain will just be like, "Here's some useless information. We'll lock away forever."
Yeah.
Because here's
same.
the thing. I was in the vehicle as Ben finished the audiobook for A New Hope.
Oh my god, I remember this.
Or Empire. Might have been Empire, but I'm pretty sure it was A New Hope. So I remember this very distinctly. I think it was February 2021. 8 rotations ago. Full rotations. Christ.
And I was like, I could turn it off if you want. You were like, nah, you're fine. You're almost done with it.
Nah, I mean, I just wanted you done with it.
Oh, Christ. It's... Sorry, I'm having an existential nightmare of remembering the rotation that Ben was reading the books and remembering that was 8 rotations ago.
It's been a long time, man. It's been a long time.
Fucking existential crisis now, excuse me. No, those books gave us a lot of gifts.
I'm going to double check here.
Gifts that keep on giving.
I'm going to double check here.
Giving and giving and giving forever, apparently.
I just have to look for what the baby said, and I'll know for a fact that I'm right.
Baby says. That is, to this day, one of my favorite things to come out of this podcast.
Yep. Rotation 4. I don't know if I'm sadder that I knew that off the top of my head.
Well, because we have to keep calling back how long ago it was, because at least once a rotation, Ben pulls something out of these fucking books somehow still.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Somehow the book references have returned.
Just wait till the rotation I sneakily read the actual original trilogy novelizations I have now.
Yeah, you still... I am of the firm belief that you still have to do that, absolutely.
I still have unfinished work, absolutely. I will not deny that, but I was listening to audiobooks because I'm a slow reader and because it's just easier while I'm doing other things to listen to a book.
A random moment of appreciation I got this watch was Ben mentioning that Obi-Wan isn't dead, and then him just rolling his eyes and saying, "Not yet, anyway." I got a lot of enjoyment out of just that.
So disappointed
moment.
about it.
So disappointed he's not dead yet. It's a very good moment. I don't know why, but this time I got a lot of enjoyment out of that.
It perfectly fits our narrative of Obi-Wan just wants more than anything in the galaxy just to die.
And he gets his wish. He dies on his terms.
Yeah.
The thing Vader wanted the least.
That's what it was. I think Obi-Wan foresaw that this was going to be like the final fuck you to Vader.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I know what'll really piss him off. He's not even going to know what's going to happen.
Obi-Wan's still very recent in our head, so I like the fact that as soon as you brought that up, I was like, oh, that immediately makes sense because of this, which I did not think of while I was watching the movie. And this is also why I firmly believe the folks that put together the new cut of the Obi-Wan fight on YouTube, I forget the name of the project, y'all did a great job. I wouldn't want to see that ever put in this movie, ever.
Oh, someone did a recut of the Vader Obi-Wan.
They completely redid the fight.
Yeah, no, we've talked about this before on the show. They completely redid it. They did like the face scan tech to put like Sir Alec Guinness's face on like the actor. It's a completely redone fight scene. I like it very much.
It's cool. I think this.
It's cool as shit. I would.
Better.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not saying it's a better duel by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that would cheapen what they're going for in the movie. I'm a big believer, and this doesn't count for Star Wars anymore because fuck Star Wars, but I'm a big believer in taking a movie for what it's trying to accomplish rather than what I want something to be.
See, I don't really have a problem with it because I think it still accomplishes the same goal. Obi-Wan is primarily on defense in that. It's just a lot more aggression from Vader.
Yeah, but part of the point of the scene is that Obi-Wan literally has lost all of his ability.
Yeah.
And isn't trying
he does the
very
spin.
hard. He does the spin.
Yeah, what are you talking about? He's the greatest swordsman of his generation. Look at that spin.
And he's also not trying especially hard on purpose. So part of the appeal of the scene to me is that it's a pretty boring duel because...
Yeah, but I like when they redid it, they recut it with clips from the original movie where you see the rest of them trying to get to the ship still. And when it's played that way, it's like, all right, he's buying them time, you know, and he's ducking and weaving and getting thrown through walls and shit, you know.
I don't know. I'm not saying I prefer this because obviously that's visually more interesting and it's a better duel. Yeah. I'm just saying this is better for what it's accomplishing.
And I fully understand. You're perfectly justified in that. I think I'm the one who's more unreasonable here. I've talked before. I don't have, even for things I love, I don't have a nostalgia bone in my fucking body. We were talking about it was either last week or the week before with those fucking oh no god, I think that was the episode just came out, so it was a while ago. The fucking Kenner action figures.
Yeah.
Hasbro's rolling out these like vintage figures that look like the old Kenner figures, and they're charging like $20 a pop for them. And I'm like, no, go fuck yourself. I don't want any of that shit. Like I have
chunk of plastic I could put together in my fucking basement. You kidding me?
Yeah. I don't have a nostalgia bone in my body. Seeing something like that, like all the other shit that's been injected into Star Wars, I would take that in a heartbeat. I would replace that scene with no hesitation.
I want to be very clear here. This is not nostalgia. If it was nostalgia, I would want that duel on YouTube. Because that's kind of what I want to see as a lightsaber duel. No, I just think the more you do in that fight, the less impact it has. Like it in a way, what kind of empowers this opinion that I have, and I watch Star Wars every week forever, so what does it fucking matter? What empowers this is actually the Darth Maul duel they have in Rebels. That duel, if it was an actual duel, I would have no interest in it. But because the duel ends immediately, because Obi-Wan knows he will get destroyed if it doesn't end immediately, is why I like it. And for the same reason, that's why I like this.
And
now, could I have done without the little spin? No, the little spin is wonderful, and
that's the highlight of the duel. That's the highlight, the best part.
I think if I'm not mistaken, in the reimagined version of it, there is still a little spin. I think they left the little spin in.
Okay, I accept that. That is, I love that.
Okay, it can go in the movie.
I could be mistaken. It's been a while since I've seen it, but
I do.
No, actually, the last time I watched, I didn't watch it with my wife this rotation, but last rotation, my wife and I just both happened to be home on the day I watched it, and like she watched it with me. I paused this movie before the duel, and I made her watch the reimagined duel on YouTube, and then continued watching the movie. It was very good. It was a very good way to watch. I don't know if I even mentioned that on the episode we recorded, but yeah, no, I did. I did that.
Honestly, if they have the time and ability, I'd love to see them do the Vader-Luke duel from Empire, because that to me is one that could be entirely redone from the bottom up, and I would be totally in favor of like inserting that into the movie even. It's just this one specifically.
One of my all-time favorites too is the Vader-Luke duel on Cloud City.
I mean, the build-up cinematically, that entire end of that movie is fantastic. In terms of a Star Wars duel, I mean, there's a moment where there's like just very clearly on strings fucking things just lightly tapping into Luke, and it's like I don't know. I think Return of the Jedi makes it work very well. I think that might be like
it's like the old fucking Lou Ferrigno Hulk TV series when he's lifting shit that you can tell is just foam.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Or like the one fight scene from original Star Trek when Kirk's fighting the fucking lizard man.
I mean, let's be serious. Like, Next Generation has that same problem too. Like
Yeah.
that didn't go away. Deep Space Nine got away with not seeing a lot of that because they didn't have a lot of like, let's go discover a planet episodes.
Yeah.
But Next Generation also had that problem. Like that's what happens when you're putting on TV every week for virtually ever. Much like this podcast that we do.
This podcast is just styrofoam rocks in audio form. It is the lesson of the day, kids.
Oh god.
Oh god. Well, we've talked about A New Hope enough, I think.
There's no fucking way C-3PO does not recognize Princess Leia. There's no fucking way in hell.
It's never implied he doesn't.
Yes, it is.
Where?
When the message first plays from R2, C-3PO is like, "Oh, she was a passenger on a ship, if I recall," or he says something to that effect.
Yeah, he's the. Why would C-3PO say exactly who she was?
Because C-3PO always spills the beans.
That's true. But I don't think. I halfway want to watch that scene back because I don't think he says he doesn't know who Obi-Wan is.
Well, he doesn't. His mind was wiped at the end of episode 3.
I'm aware, but that's the only thing he says. I don't remember him saying anything one about Leia.
I also don't remember. I will Google.
I guess I'm going to watch a Star Wars scene in the middle of the podcast. We will reconvene.
I've done it before.
No,
yeah,
I'll
but you have
Google.
better internet than both Chris and I combined.
What do I Google for this?
I'm just going to.
Hey, what are you talking about? You can. I'm almost a full pixel on this webcam right now. What are you
Almost
talking?
a full pixel.
I'm just gonna put "Help me, Obi-Wan." That'll probably do it.
Does C-3PO recognize? What?
I'm watching the scene.
How do I take a screenshot on a PC? Somebody who uses computers more help me,
Control
please.
print screen.
Oh, God.
I'm having such
Thank
flashbacks because I just edited something in the Weird Wikipedia edit where you asked the same exact thing.
I need to show you all what popped up for the auto completes.
I'm afraid I'm not quite sure, sir. I think she was a passenger on our last voyage.
Does C-3PO recognize lymphoma? Does C-3PO recognize liver? Does C-3PO recognize lung cancer? Dr. C-3PO over here. Thank you, Google.
Who's asking these questions?
I don't know. Isn't it like, I don't know. I don't trust Google's autocomplete Google things because it's always very strange.
My favorite is always people also asked, because there's always
That's
one.
my favorite,
They're always
yeah.
all normal, and then there's one.
That's my favorite.
But yeah,
that's become basically an honorary segment on this show.
It's true. But yeah, Luke goes, "Who is she?" And C-3PO goes, "I'm not quite sure. I recall she was a passenger on our last voyage."
Well, it's possible he hasn't served on specifically Alderaan in a long time,
But
or
he
it's
knows
possible
the
that,
princess.
or it's possible that he was only on Alderaan for specific ship-related incidences, and then was off Alderaan for the majority of his time, like it was originally implied. I don't know. If Obi-Wan didn't just come out, I feel like I would riff on this for a very long time because I love picking at seeming inconsistencies. But I can see a lot of reasons why he wouldn't have said that here, or wouldn't remember, or wouldn't know what Leia looks like as an adult.
But no, he's like, because like when they're on the Tantive E4, he's like, "Oh, there's no escape for the princess this time." Like,
so he fucking lied.
Yeah. So C-3PO's full of shit.
Which I would.
I mean,
say
he's protecting, know.
But
that's
He's protecting the princess from this
C-3PO.
Florida Bama
That it was
fucking. some random Yahoo who fucking picked him
Some
up.
random
from
Yahoo.
Then
Charles.
C-3PO lies his entire way through the first half of Return of the
Yeah,
Jedi.
Oh, you're talking about, yeah, he spills a lot, but like he protects his friends and stuff
Yeah.
generally. It's not
He
like
lies through another scene in this movie where he no, you're not giving him enough credit. Like, he
Look,
lies a
C-3PO
lot in the original trilogy.
look, C-3PO likes the drama, but he is he ain't no snitch.
C-3PO is that character in the Hunger Games that hosts the that hosts these horrible capitalistic fucking sporting events. But the moment that he knows somebody and that got forced into it, when they show up at his door to look for them, it's just like, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. And no, a matter of fact, I saw them someplace they definitely aren't. Leave me the fuck alone. Weird character. Weird take. But yeah, that's who C-3PO is. He's that character.
But like, okay, immediately following that, C-3PO lectures R2-D2 about how he has to show him the rest of the message.
Yeah, you make a good point. You've convinced
You
me.
do make
It's a weird thing.
You do make a frustratingly good point. I don't know, Ben. What do you want me to tell you? That these movies are
don't know.
inconsistent and bad.
I mean,
What do you want me to tell you?
I mean, this was also true when Rogue One came out.
What do you mean?
Well, you can see C-3PO on Yavin 4 right before the beginning of A New Hope in Rogue One. So that's also true there. Like, C-3PO is well aware of what's going on. He's just not telling Luke shit. So these inconsistencies
C-3PO is
were
just
also there.
a drama generator.
I mean, we already knew this. C-3PO is drag. C-3PO is
drag?
C-3PO is camp. Yeah, 1,000%. I don't know. I didn't. You're right. It's an
I had a
inconsistency.
different complaint about C-3PO, but for the life of me, I can't remember it now that we've gone down this rabbit hole.
I mean, I feel like we often have complaints about C-3PO.
No,
We're very hot.
C-3PO is my
We're very hot or cold on C-3PO. We either love him or.
C-3PO is my spirit animal, so I do always have complaints about him because I always have complaints about me.
I don't know who my Star Wars spirit animal is.
We'll talk about that off the podcast, that particular comment.
I'm gonna get yelled at.
Probably Obi-Wan. I probably relate the most to Obi-Wan.
Oh god, are we doing this? I don't fucking know.
Who do I relate the most to? I relate most to Star Wars Episode 2 Attack of the Clones, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah.
Stressed out, confused, doesn't know what's going on at any given time.
I relate most to Kenobi series Aunt Beru. Because Aunt Beru is so like, or just Aunt Beru in general, because she's so meek and mild-mannered, but when the shit's going down, she's the one grabbing the fucking guns.
Yeah.
Like,
When
Beru's
shit goes down,
ready.
Aunt Beru's the one with the shotgun hidden in the wall, you know?
I mean, I don't know who I relate to in canon. I mean, I guess.
I mean, I thought we've established previously it's C-3PO.
I mean, yeah, but
Actually, no, I feel like I probably relate more to, like, Last Jedi Chewbacca. Just cursing all the time, done with everything, just annoyed.
Well, in terms of, like, sitting and watching a Star Wars movie, I can't say that I ever related to any of the characters when I was a kid, ever. Like, I love the movies, obviously, but the characters that I related to were all EU characters.
Yep.
So I guess, although I will say, I came close to feeling like I relate with Rey when Force Awakens came out. So I guess if, like, I gun to head, I had to pick it would be Rey, 1,000%. And I also have said multiple times she's the most likable protagonist of Star Wars. Like, it's not even close.
I feel like there would have been potential for Finn to take that title if they actually did anything.
If he was a protagonist, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing, like, Hollywood. Here's a hot take. Here's a real hot take. Hollywood has this habit of pretending like movies with a lot of leads, quote unquote, has multiple protagonists. But that is distinctly untrue.
Yeah,
In any
you're right.
movie that has multiple protagonists, there's always one that is the actual protagonist, and the rest are supporting characters no matter how much they're in the movie. Because you can only put, in the confines of 2.5 hours at most, you can only put so much attention into multiple people. There has to be one central focus. So Finn should be a protagonist, but in actuality, even if he had been entirely fucked over in terms of a story in 8 and 9, he was never going to be a protagonist. They had chosen. And then they misadvertised the entire way leading up to Force Awakens, but they had chosen. So that's my hot take. Empire Strikes Back is the closest I think that any movie has ever gotten in terms of like big romp adventure with multiple characters to having multiple protagonists.
Like the best of an ensemble cast.
Yeah. In terms of like these kind of movies, yeah. But I've also basically said that during Empire episodes where nobody touches Empire in terms of like nobody comes close to Empire in terms of having a big budget multi-cast story. Empire does it better than any movie that's tried to do it since.
Especially with delivering like plot beats and shit.
Yeah.
Like the way it balances an A and a B plot so well.
Well, it's not just balancing an A and a B plot, it's balancing like 3 different groups of characters while never focusing too much on one, and that's tough. Like every movie every like big blockbuster movie tries to do that now and utterly fails. Like Thor 4 More Thors just came out. Failed pretty bad at that.
Or more.
Failed really, really, really bad at that.
Oh,
got me.
Did Thor just come out? Is Thor out already?
Thor 4 More Thors is in fact out. Breaking news 6
that got
weeks.
real fucking good.
I mean, I've never felt like an Avengers movie spends enough time on more than one character. I think the original Guardians got close, and I'm not
saying you were gonna say Garfield for a second, and I was
Garfield is the greatest movie ever made. It's a little above Empire.
I would almost argue that with you a little bit. The first Avengers movie, I'd say you could make the argument Steve Rogers is like the protagonist of the movie.
Yeah.
But I think they did a pretty good job of balancing it decently well. I mean, same with Age of Ultron. Age of Ultron, I feel like, is pretty balanced.
No.
Well, who would you say the protagonist of Age of Ultron is?
Tony Stark.
I was gonna say probably Tony.
Tony Stark is the centrist.
I would almost say he's the secondary antagonist of that movie.
Just listen, here's a big thing I want everybody to learn. Just because someone is absolutely morally wrong throughout the entirety of a movie does not mean they're not the protagonist. The protagonist is the person that you are following through the movie. There's a difference between a hero and a protagonist.
My opinion on most
the antagonist
movies
is the person that is actively working against whoever you're following. Like, there doesn't need to be morality in protagonist and antagonist.
Disclaimer, my opinion on Avengers movies should be taken with a large grain of salt because I haven't seen a single one of them for like 10 years. That's a lie because I don't know when Ultron came out, but that's probably the last one I saw until like Endgame.
It ruined my life.
Your life.
I'm joking, but it's a bad movie.
Say, Jay, do you want to talk about your Age of Ultron trauma tonight?
That's
bad movie.
That's one of my favorite Marvel movies.
I will shut up then. I will shut up then. It is. I will say without a doubt, it's not very well received generally. That's all I'll say.
Oh, I know it's not. I know I'm in the minority of it being one of my favorite of the Marvel movies, but. I don't know. I liked it.
Come on, what do you expect? It's Chris. We got Attack of the Clones. We got Age of Ultron.
Yeah, you do.
Hey,
you do have a habit. He just held up his middle fingers. Yeah.
Got 2 of these.
At least I didn't bring up pod racing.
Motherfucker.
I saw a tweet this week.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. That was essentially someone online saying that they would, I forget the exact context because I almost linked it in the Discord and then I got busy, but it was essentially some individual saying that they would happily sleep with someone while watching the Boonta Eve Classic. And I'm like, this is Ben's true love.
I mean,
Like,
Found Ben's burner.
This is either Ben's burner or Ben's soulmate.
I mean, listen. If
don't shoot
if you
your shot
happen
right
to
now because I
happen
don't know
upon
who
this
it was.
YouTube channel,
Listen, if you're out
This
there, we got
podcast.
someone for you. Excuse me. A random Twitter
Don't
user.
shoot your shot because I sure as hell didn't click on their Twitter.
it's all right. Could air out grievances later.
So, A New Hope.
No. Look, I did my time. All right.
No,
I
you
did my
didn't.
fucking time. This is the most we've talked about the movie we're on in rotations. All right.
That's distinctly untrue.
I'll trust the editor on this, but I feel like this is the most on topic we've been in a very long time.
We have been pretty
We've
on
had
topic.
2 different comic book movie rants today.
They weren't like full blown rants though.
Yeah,
No,
they
they
weren't our usual 6-minute comic corner.
I think we're sitting here nitpicking about how long we spent talking about the movie, so we
Show
could
me
avoid
that
talking about the movie.
AO3. Hi everybody, welcome to Show Me That AO3, the bit that we do occasionally.
I was literally just wondering, like literally just the thought crossed my mind, like, hey, when's the last time we did AO3?
Let me put it to you this way. I've had an AO3 lined up for 3 episodes, and I haven't needed to pull it out. That's how on topic we've been.
I don't know about on topic.
No, we've been pretty close to on topic. Ever since I said that joke that was distinctly true when we were doing Last Jedi, that we did like 7-minute comic book rants for like 4 weeks in a row, we've been pretty good.
I miss those days. I miss the 7-minute comic book rants, if I'm being honest.
We'll get back to them, but there were too many too close in a row. It became almost Obama-esque, and we cannot do Obama-esque ever
The
again.
Obama arc.
The Obama arc was 1 episode.
Obama arc.
I want to say
Where
it was
we-
two.
It was 1 episode that we
Was it
went, we
one?
gotta shut this shit down.
It was 1 episode where we made a bit, it was funny, we took it out back, and we shot it in the head. That's how bad we just did that whole thing, that whole episode.
Oh, God.
Show Me That AO3 is a segment that we do every once in a while on the show, brought to us by the lovely, lovely individual at SWAO3 tags on Twitter, who goes through the lovely, wonderful, godly job of looking through Archive of Our Own and finding out-of-context tags left on various solo works. The way you play is that we pick 4 different AO3 tags as presented by at SWAO3 tags on Twitter. I insert 1 fake one, and the gang, you at home, as well as the gang here, has to guess which one is fake. Are you ready to play?
Always.
That might be the best explanation of this bit I've ever done, and it was because I was desperately trying to pull up the AO3 tags Google Doc that I have because I didn't have it open originally.
That was an extremely succinct description of AO3.
Very good.
Breathe it in. I'll never do it again. Number 1, inappropriate use of Crayola. Number 2, erotic art therapy. Let's make it a thing. Number 3, Tross, who is she? That is referring to The Rise of Skywalker. Number 4, healing trauma fluff delivered via SWEWF concussion. Number 5, Ben's nose gets all up in there. One of these is fake.
I have a very important question.
Yes.
Very important.
Yes.
Where the fuck is my nose going and why?
I don't know.
I'm sure you
That's
probably
your
don't want
business.
the answer to that, bud.
Oh,
I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't know if this is a real tag.
It's
I guarantee you don't want the answer to that, bud.
it's not. If you don't know what it is right off the top of your head, I'm not explaining on this good Christian podcast.
God,
This
I'm gonna
good
live in
Christian podcast.
the rest of my days.
Yeah, that's what we are here. We're a good Christian
Good
podcast.
Christian
Good Christian
podcast. God, can you get this to us one more time, Jay?
Sure, I can.
I have an answer, I think, but yeah.
I also
Number
think I have
one.
one.
Number 1, inappropriate use of Crayola. Number 2, erotic art therapy. Let's make it a thing. Number 3, Tross? Who is she? Number 4, healing trauma fluff delivered via SWEWF concussion. Number 5, Ben's nose gets all up in there.
Skype is censoring my fingers. I'm not even flipping anyone off this time. 4 is 4.
I think it says
I think it's
4. Yeah,
4.
that's 4. Also,
think it's
maybe you
4.
shouldn't put up the number of fingers that your answer is on our audio format podcast. That might be a bad idea.
Well, I was gonna say it. I was just waiting for my fingers to fucking materialize on my goddamn webcam, alright?
Ben, what do you think?
What was number 3 again? I'm sorry.
Number 3 was Tross. Who is she? Of course, referring to The Rise of Skywalker.
I'm gonna go with number 4.
You're both going with number 4.
Yeah.
I got bad news for you, and by bad news for you, I mean bad news for me, because healing trauma fluff delivered via SWEWF concussion was absolutely the one that I made up. The rest are real.
We're catching on.
Is this like the first time I've ever actually picked the correct answer?
No, it's distinctly not, but it's definitely the first time that both of you got the same answer.
Is this it? Did we just beat Weird Wikipedia or Weird fucking Christ? That's where my brain's at. We just we beat Weird Wikipedia. No, we beat.
I don't know why you bring that up.
AO3. I don't know. I don't know why it's fresh on the brain.
The one
did
that
last week.
The one that I was kind of obsessed with is inappropriate use of Crayola.
I'm also very
What are y'all
curious.
doing with Crayola crayons?
I would deeply like answers to that.
Yeah.
Also, the erotic art therapy one, I guarantee that's already a thing.
Yeah, like, isn't that just Ghost? Is that what the name of the Patrick Swayze movie is? Isn't that just that?
Oh God!
Am I right? Is that called Ghost?
Can we do a Halloween episode where we just watch Ghost?
No, no, we can't. We already got a Halloween episode. It's Jason X.
Oh, that's right.
Wait,
I want
wait.
Ghost.
You agreed to this.
When the fuck did Jason X become our Halloween episode?
We talked about it on the show.
I remember.
Ben,
I remember loosely. I don't know how it happened.
Ben, my sweet summer child, would you like a hint as to what the nose thing means?
Yes. No. Yes.
According to DC Comics, until recently, Batman was not allowed to do this.
Ben looks even more confused.
That's kind of why I said it. So that was AO3 tags. That was Show Me That AO3. Go ahead and follow at SWAO3 tags on Twitter. I don't even have to look at a note anymore to remember that. That's quite impressive and also horrifying. They are wonderful and lighten up my timeline.
Oh, well, that's some fresh trauma for me.
Ben, it's one of the few things that Batman can't be helped with prep time on, apparently.
Moving on. My sweet innocent summer child, I will save you from this filth on our Good Christian podcast.
No, don't do that. We've already seen that the YouTube algorithm has tagged our show as weird shit. They're gonna start tagging it with Christian.
I would love that, actually.
Bring them on.
You know what? I would also love that.
I would love to.
Fair.
It would be. They'd leave faster than the Raylo shippers did.
God, are we just gonna start setting timers for how quick we can alienate certain demographics?
I feel bad for the Raylo shippers one because we were asking for trouble when we made that title.
Yeah, we were. Look, every once in a while we get bored and we just got to start some shit. Much like C3PO.
We are
much like C3PO.
This just in, we are a YouTube drama channel.
Nope.
Oh my god.
Well, what else is there to say about Star Wars
Yeah.
or A New Hope that hasn't been said already? pretty okay movie.
It's weird how Darth Vader has this representation in other media, well, in Star Wars media, of being this like absolute force of nature, which he should be, I believe. But in Episode 4, he is just so underwhelming if you come in with that kind of lens.
Yeah.
I don't.
The hands on the hips, just.
Yeah, he just kind of walks around, waves his fingers at people, hits Obi-Wan when Obi-Wan's like, kill me, and then shoots a couple of ships down.
I think you're discrediting the entire opening of the movie where he screams at everyone in his path and holds a man up by the throat before throwing him and breaking his neck against the bulkhead. Like, that's, like, top 10 intimidating Vader. Like,
Well,
the rest of the movie I get, but, like, this movie opens
the rest of it,
very strongly with Vader, yeah.
So got the hands on the hips, the way he kind of, like, gently scolds Leia. It's just one of my favorite, like, it's hilarious every time.
Well, yeah, I could kind of see Jay's point, too, because, like, also with when he's he's in the boardroom with Maudie.
Yeah,
like, the opening scene is very good. It's not downplaying the opening scene to say that Vader looks pretty ridiculous in most of this movie with his hands on his hips and
you can tell
the superhero stance.
Yeah.
You can tell that George didn't know what he was doing with Vader yet, because everyone thinks that he walked in and he had this grand vision for Vader. He in fact did not. He figured this out down the line. His plan was always to have a big, dark, like, in black bad guy and his OC main character. That was always George's plan.
Good old Georgie boy.
Good old Georgie boy.
He's a pageant mom, and he doesn't think droids have souls. That's our Georgie boy.
I just saw that they're doing some documentary about, like, special effects, and George Lucas is somewhat involved, and I think it's more like just a case study on George Lucas's contributions to, like, the special effects world and everything. But I don't know, I got weirdly excited about it because I was like, oh, there might be some, like, new George Lucas footage. Like, I don't know, I kind of miss George Lucas.
Are you sure you want to keep that take, Chris?
I don't know. I miss him.
I miss him.
Like, I don't miss him being in control of Star Wars. I don't miss him making new
I want
Star
him
Wars
as
stuff.
far away from Star Wars as possible, but I just miss him.
I miss him.
Big old goofball.
That photo came out of him. Yeah, that photo came out of him, like, cradling Baby Yoda, and I was like, oh, look at George.
God, I am happy he is now as far away from the rabid fan base as he can be. I'm happy for him for that.
Yeah.
Because the fan base didn't handle the prequels very well when they first got released.
No.
And that's I feel like that has a lot to do with him being like, yeah, you know what, this isn't my child anymore.
Yeah. I like that but it's like he got to it's like when your parents divorce and you go see one of them on the weekends every once in a while. It's like that's what George Lucas is with Star Wars now. They invite him to set every once in a while, and he comes by and he cradles Baby Yoda for a bit, and he's like, "Oh, this is pretty cool. Okay, bye." And then he just leaves. And
Here's
you're
your
like,
child back.
We don't know when we're gonna see George again, but
I miss George Lucas in the same way that I miss when I would go drinking with some really dumb folks in my early 20s, where they would just kind of say hilariously, weirdly stupid shit sometimes, and it was deeply endearing and funny. I miss George in that way. I miss
sounds like this podcast minus the alcohol.
Yes, it's true. I mean, sometimes plus the alcohol.
Sometimes plus the alcohol. Well, for me, minus the alcohol consumption.
Yeah, I miss George saying stupid shit. I like George's stupid shit talk.
I agree with Ben's point. Like, I'm happy for him kind of getting some, like, solitude away from the fan base, because the fan base was not nice to George Lucas after the prequels. But, like, it is really funny that in this day and age, he's managed to stay out of the public eye as much as he has. Like, we're not even getting, like, grainy, like, Sasquatch photos of George Lucas out in the wild or anything. It's just, he's just completely in his own little world, away from
In his
everything.
movies
and
for
everybody.
him.
My favorite George Lucas cameo of the 2010s after he sold Star Wars was someone was doing some kind of instructional video for a business in like New York City, and for whatever reason George Lucas behind just walks past them, kind of double takes, looks at the camera, smiles, and then keeps walking. It was truly
it is like Bigfoot.
Yeah,
It's hilarious.
sighting.
I want to say we've brought this up before. Like
We have not.
No,
We have not. But it has definitely been posted
That's
to
the
our
first time
private
I've heard
Discord.
of it.
That's what it was.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. It might not have been a training video, but it was something very akin to it.
Yeah,
I
totally.
don't remember. This feels like the first time I'm hearing this information.
Oh yeah, this was like early podcast.
Yeah. I mean,
Probably right around the time Ben was reading the books,
I mean, the public things that George Lucas has done is like came to a couple of red carpets until he didn't anymore. Talked about, was asked at the beginning of the Trump administration if Star Wars, like in a sit-down interview, if Star Wars was, about the Viet Cong. He was like, yeah, very much was inspired by the Viet Cong. That's what I was doing, and that's about it. And obviously, the one where he made a very bad comparison of stars being taken away from him. That one too. Which is one of the dumbest things any human being has ever said, by the way.
Yep.
Wait, what did I'm unfamiliar with this extra
Can't do it on the show. I will not do that as repeat worthy on the show.
Understand? I
mean, this was
I
said
understand, and I will not pursue any further.
And if you're gonna do like a history of CGI, we dunk on how bad the CGI looks in the prequels a lot, and it's deserved.
Yeah.
But if he hadn't done those movies, I don't think CGI would have jumped to the point.
I brought that up a rotation ago. Like, we give George a lot of shit, but it's not to take away from what he did for practical and CGI in general. I mean, he absolutely was a pioneer in both fields, and you can't take that away from him.
Absolutely revolutionary.
More CGI though, like practical effects were already a thing before George Lucas. CGI was something that he spearheaded. Him and his friend Steven Spielberg.
Hey, not to get morbid on our show that oftentimes becomes a comment on mortality.
It's always a comment on mortality.
Do we think that one day when George Lucas passes, that there will just be a handful of movies that he truly just shot and never released that are going to come out?
1000%.
Okay, because I also
don't
kind
know if
of think
come
that.
Out.
I think there's like in the event of my death, release like these 5 movies I fucked around, smoked pot, and then filmed and edited for 2 years.
And if there's not that, there's no way that his estate won't try to make whatever money off of it they possibly can.
If he doesn't plan for them to release, it's going to be like when MF Doom passed and there's just like 16 unfinished projects that everybody's going to be like the handlers are going to be like, we really want to release this, but technically 17 people own the rights to this and they're unfinished, and what are we going to do with it? And there's just going to be rumors for the rest of time that there were all kinds of finished George
Or it'll
Lucas
be like when Douglas Adams passed and they tried to release like the last Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy book, and it was just like a mishmash of his notes.
I mean, God, fantasy novels, like,
oh God,
there's such a history of that happening with fantasy novels, whether it's complete works that just got shoved out the door, or like a son or a daughter taking over a franchise.
Or Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
No, I can't complain about Brandon Sanderson on this podcast again.
Well, or like no, I know when Robert Jordan passed away, he still had like 4 more Wheel of Time books in the works, so Brandon Sanderson stepped up. I remembered Robert Jordanson's name. I couldn't for the life of me remember Brandon Sanderson's name. He stepped up and actually completed
the one that Chris just said like a minute.
We were literally just talking about that while you were Googling it. Yes.
Ben, how long were you to now? We talked about Brandon Sanderson.
I literally Yeah, I just said I can't complain about Brandon Sanderson anymore on this podcast because we've also talked about this before.
Then you Googled. Like, it wasn't like you were Googling while he was saying that. You were staring at your camera, and then you stopped to Google the name of the guy that Chris was saying 10 seconds before you Googled.
Well, it's because I didn't know the guy's name.
No, that's even funnier to me because, like, you Googled it and then looked at the name that you couldn't remember, the one that was said, like, 10 seconds prior.
Jay, you think I have any sense of cognition when, like, I'm thinking about one thing?
Listen, buddy, at some point you have to stop blaming your brain.
I can't. It's the problem.
He can't. It's him. That's, we are our brains.
I love
that's the
this
whole
about
The
thing.
problem
but I
is
got
nobody
it.
The
else.
meat
The
suit
problem
piloting
is
around.
all up here, all the meat computer.
One really important part of this podcast is that it's us turned up to 11.
Yeah.
So, whereas I would, like, poke fun at Ben for a second and then move on, I harass him about this shit on the show.
No.
Which is
Oh
great.
no, I feel like really sadly at this point I'm not even turning myself up to 11. I feel like this is just me, who I am now.
Well, I mean, and
Like,
it's
this
great
is just me as a person now.
because anyone who knows, like, kind of my outlook on the world is I exist to laugh and be laughed at and be laughed with.
To a
So
disturbing extent, actually.
Jay knows I will roll with this shit.
Yes, Ben is very good at yes and, even though we had to explain to Ben
Even
what
though
yes
I don't
and
know
is.
what yes and was.
Even though I met him doing theater.
And that's what happens when you're not the brightest bulb in the
Oh, shut the fuck up. You are a
the-
very intelligent
shut the
human
fuck
being. You're just
in
not very...
pack of
you're
bobby
j-
pins.
You just don't... You're a very intelligent human being. You just don't really pay attention to things like you should.
Look, I think I'm. I've said it for years. I think I'm a walking example of someone who you can be incredibly intelligent, but also just dumb as shit.
What's
Just
the
dumb as shit.
What's the redneck saying? It's just like, because I used to hear this constantly growing up. It's just like, well, they're book smart, like in that very condescending way of essentially saying, oh, they're really, like, stupid otherwise. Ben's constant state of existence is me playing D&D on the computer in the mornings, where I will tune out for like a second and find out I was tuned out for 15 minutes and not be sure what's going on anymore, and then curse myself. That's Ben's general state of existence, and also the way he is in person playing D&D. Case in point, playing Lego Star Wars or RuneScape in between his turns.
Okay, listen, I couldn't hit shit that turn.
That whole combat. Oh. Yeah, Ben played a character for 2 years in a 1-20 campaign that very rarely hit anything ever.
Listen, I can
And not for lack of trying.
I can do a wicked vicious mockery though. I could do a wild 1d4 of damage. Oh god.
I know a point about the movie that we're talking about that we could finish on.
Talking about a movie?
Yeah, unfortunately. Han's kind of a sap. Kind of like a way too trusting sap. This guy walks in with his young farmer protege and says, "I'll give you 2,000. I'll give you 8,000 less than what you're asking for, but 11,000 when we arrive at the planet that we're going to." And he's immediately just like, "Yeah, that works for me. I believe you. I believe you wholeheartedly."
Let the record show Obi-Wan Kenobi out-scoundreled the, like, quintessential scoundrel character of Star Wars.
Because I think an important thing with Han Solo that is overlooked, especially in the new canon, with none of Han's original EU canon backstory of, like, coming from, like, kind of an important family in Corellia and having connections and this and that, like, knowing what we know about Han now with Solo and where he's at here, he probably wasn't getting much work, let's be honest.
Yeah.
He probably was sitting in that fucking cantina, like, he was needing a job so desperately, and this fucking old dude comes in He's like, yeah, sure.
Oh my god, what's the name of the movie where the guy takes on training? It's gonna really bother me. I can't remember the name of this movie. Where the gambling addict takes on a job as a baseball coach. What's the name of that movie?
Sorcerer's Apprentice.
You disgust me.
You're asking me, who based on the movie you described, has never seen this movie, and Ben, who's never seen a movie, what the name of this movie is.
Hardball.
Sure.
Hardball. Very good movie.
Anytime I hear a baseball movie, I just think of Who's on First, and that's about the extent of my brain capacity.
Not only, like, listen, I'm not a sports person, really, but not only the fact that you don't know any sports movies, that's fine. But the fact that the first one you think of is Who's on First, not Angels in the Outfield, not.
It's not even a movie. It's just a comedy sketch.
Even like Basketball, I could see Ben referencing. That's one that wouldn't surprise me too much.
But he's seen Dodgeball.
I have seen Dodgeball.
Yeah, it's one of the 5 movies he's seen.
I don't know if that really counts as a sports. Well, I don't think I've ever seen Dodgeball all the way through. I think I've seen it all the way through in bits and pieces.
Another thing that we've referenced on this podcast.
Anyway, Han Solo is the teacher, or the gambling addict that ends up with a heart of gold at the end of Hardball, except after the movie he becomes a gambling addict again. This has been Star Wars Every Week Forever. Thank you all.
Solo really goes through the same arc 4 times.
Yeah, like we've said a million times. You heard me giving the outro, Ben.
I know, but it's not just that one time. Was my point.
Yeah, I know. We talked about that a lot on the show.
All right.
Do you want to talk about that?
No, I don't want to talk about Star Wars.
That's why I was giving you an out.
Jay, I don't know how to take outs.
Here's one. I'm gonna point it out as it comes. Like follow the finger. This is Star Wars Every Week Forever. Good night.
Your finger's off screen. You said follow the finger. Your finger's off screen. I can't see your finger. What am I following?
Me out the door.
Okay.
Fuck, I'm still headphoned in.
I am still attached.
I am also still attached.
We'd all just tried to stand up from chairs while wearing headphones that were attached by fucking wires.
You can never say that we don't live the gimmick. We will give everything for the bit. Hey, if you enjoyed us, thought we were funny, like our content, or just really love our suffering and want to hear more of it, we're available all over the place and release episodes every Wednesday around 12 Eastern Standard Time. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, TuneIn, Player FM, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and in a unique format over on YouTube that our fans seem to dig. You can join in on the conversation over on Twitter as well, at SWEWF. We're quite active and love to hear from our fans. Sincerely, though. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to spend with us on this car crash of a ride.